I have to laugh because who would have thought that we're going to talk about skin and we're going to end up talking about the vagina? But it's all connected. Yeah. And I think that the average person just wants you to tell them, okay, what's the cream and the face wash I should use? And what's the makeup brand? When it's so much more complex because your skin is an overall snapshot of your entire health.
Since your birth.
Welcome to Harmonic Alignment,
a podcast that explores the new frontier of energy medicine,
bridging the gap between Western medicine and quantum physics,
giving you easy and practical solutions.
Guided by
me, Dr. Larisa Sharipova,
and me, Priscilla Koblenz. Join us on a journey discovering your harmonic alignment. On today's episode of Harmonic Alignment, Dr. Larisa Sharipova and myself, Priscilla Koblenz, discuss a topic that we've decided we have probably spent more time and money on, and maybe most women have, skincare. And skincare isn't just what you put on your skin, but it's also what we're putting in our bodies. So sit back and enjoy some really powerful insights on how you can optimize your skin routine from the inside out. Reserve your spot today on the Tuscany Transformation Retreat, June 15th through the 21st, 2025. Reconnect with your inner beauty, power, and abundance. Come join Dr. Larisa Sharipova and myself, Priscilla Koblenz, for 6 nights and 5 full days in the beautiful Tuscan countryside. We'll be staying at a villa that has a gorgeous swimming pool and hot tub, a Turkish bath, as well as this amazing yoga studio overlooking the olive trees and the vineyards. We'll offer daily yoga, meditation, breath work, sound healing, spa treatments, a Tuscan bike ride, a pasta cooking class, olive oil and wine tastings, as well as amazing, amazing food. For a more detailed itinerary, check out our website and reserve your spot today. We've got 9 spots available. Welcome back to Harmonic Alignment, helping you find your harmonic alignment. So I'm so excited today to be here with Dr. Larisa Sharipova, Dr. L as I like to refer to her, because she is a skincare expert. And I think the thing I have spent the most money on and the time on in my life is when it comes to my health wellness is my skin. And I think maybe that's the thing all women spend the most money on. When the acne sets in your teenage years, to the makeup, to the cleansing routines, then to the anti-aging stuff. So we're going to kind of walk through our own personal journeys of this and get some advice from an expert.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here with you, Priscilla. It's one of my favorite subjects, and I was affected by this issue for long time, and I'm getting better and better with age.
Yeah, because you're aging backwards, so we need to know your secrets. But let's start with what was going on with you and your skin, and what were the issues? What's your skin journey?
I have my skin story, and one time I even wrote an article about perfect skin. I even have a program, Perfect Skin Inside Out, because we know it's not only outside things that affect our skin, and we're going to talk a lot about that today, but also internally. I always had acne through my puberty, through my teenage year, even adolescent acne, until I did something that changed my skin.
Really?
And I will tell you what happened, and you probably know some of my other story, because I didn't have only skin problem, I had a lot of other issues. So looking back, why I had acne, and while a lot of teenagers and people in puberty and even adolescents have acne, even in a menopausal age. And they say it's hormonal, and same with puberty, you can say it's hormonal, but mostly it's a gut issues. And I know I had a lot of gut issues in my teenage years, but I had furuncles, which is like inflamed bumps all over my skin, even on my butt, on my back. And I remember my mom was a nurse practitioner, and of course what we did, antibiotics, and we did some skin lotion and potions, specifically like medical grades.
Okay.
And I remember all my childhood I was like treated by that. But I think the issue, looking back, what was wrong, the environment, the way we live, it was very moldy. We had a moldy home. And I didn't know back then how mold can affect your health.
Right.
And that's probably create a lot of health issue in the long run for me. We had a mold in our basement, And I lived there all my childhood until like maybe high school.
So this is the thing that I want to kind of wrap my head around, is that when the skin is erupting, when the skin is inflamed, when there's pus coming out, when there's stuff coming out of the skin, your body is trying to detox something, right? And there's something going on, and because it's not going out the normal pathways, which I'll call our bowel movements, sweat, it has to find a way to get out. So you think like because of the mold environment and your digestion's off, the toxins had to leave somehow, so they just start leaving through the skin.
Yeah, and skin is the largest organ, and skin is our eliminative organ. And I believe, and learning more and more about detoxification and all elimination and drainage in our body, first toxins goes through the liver and become too much work for liver, and liver becomes sluggish. So everything become backed up. Our lymph system becomes sluggish, and skin is the last organ. So if everything else not working, it has to go through the skin.
It has to go through the skin. So you just said the liver, the kidneys, I assume starting with the gut.
Right.
And when those are out of function, then it has to go someplace. And where else does it go but through the skin?
If something happened on the skin, it's one of the symptoms that all other eliminative organs already backed up and sluggish. So of course, colon is the first one to go. And if you don't eliminate well, like if you have a constipation or you have parasites or something, or even gallbladder not working properly.
I want to hammer that point home, that when you have constipation, which I know a lot of young teenage girls do, that's when their acne is going to get worse. So if they're not having that healthy gut bowel movement every day in the morning when they wake up, that's going to be contributing to their skin and acne issues. And that is a large part got to be their environment and then their diet. Probably also their stress level, and they start putting on toxic makeup products. That doesn't help either, right?
So it starts with colon, and of course it's not only what you eat, but what environment, as you said, you live. And I think a lot of mold, my liver was like not able to detoxify everything. So it's a lot of contributing stuff that can perpetuate the problem. I don't think I had a bad diet in my childhood because we grow our food, we cooked at home, we didn't have a lot of processed food back then.
Right.
So I think it's the environment that
was more of a contributing
factors. And I know I struggled with constipation all my life. I don't remember much in childhood, but definitely when I moved to US in late 90s. So it was like my 20s.
That you were really struggling. Did it get worse?
Actually, I remember when I was going through the medical school and we had a microbiology, I know I already struggled back then because I had a lot of acne on my skin already back then. And like, let's check my microbiome in my gut. And of course, I was diagnosed with, we call it dysbacteriosis, but dysbiosis, we call it here.
Okay, dysbiosis.
And I had a candida when they tested my stool. And I learned back then about normal and pathological bacteria. And professor put me on a specific protocol. So I had to take antibiotics for my pathological bacteria that were found. And also I had to take high dose of probiotics. And this is the main protocol that's used here now. But when I moved here in the late 90s, and I went to my primary doctor and told him that I have a chronic constipation, and that's probably the reason, I got better. I remediate my candida, and a lot of problem disappear, like vaginal problem.
Just for our listeners, explain candida and why that can be an issue. How would someone know if they have a candida issue?
It's all fungi.
Okay.
Different fungi contribute to each other. So candida, it's more common and it's commensal. It can be normal because we need different fungi or yeast. Yeast is good in our body and we need yeast. We eat yeast.
But when yeast goes amok, that's where we have yeast infections.
So it just need to be in balance because we need yeast to process, even to make B vitamins. Right. And that's when we eat food, that's what yeast give us in a body, B vitamins. We need yeast, but we need to have it in the control. So that's why it's called commensal bacteria, which we have in a normal range. It's good for us, but it's when become overgrow, it's bad.
Okay, so when someone's bacteria, yeast gets out of control is when the problems really start. And that's happening for a variety of factors, and it's very individual on what those contributing factors could be. The moldy house, the food you're eating, some other stress going on in your life that's shutting down, say, your adrenals, your kidneys, and your liver. I mean, because emotional stress can do that as well, right?
Yeah, and also taking antibiotics. So when you take antibiotics, you kill good bacteria, which is a balanced yeast.
Okay, but when I would take antibiotics, my skin would clear up. I get that I'm killing off the good bacteria, but why was my skin getting better when I was on antibiotics?
Depends what kind of antibiotics. Maybe your skin has more gram-negative or gram-positive. Depends what kind of antibiotics you take. So because our skin has streptococcus and staphylococcus, it's a normal bacteria. But if you have too much grow, then the antibiotics were at, and so many young people are put on antibiotics at that hormonal time, which doesn't serve their liver and their digestion well. But it actually may start to clear their skin up. But you're not getting to the root cause of the problem. You're treating a symptom with a temporary solution, which may cause long-term effects. As with any medications.
Right.
It just keep your symptoms in bay, but it does not eliminate the issue why you have too much one bacteria or another. And I think that's more for superficial. We can talk about what the skin has and what's needed and what can disbalance it. But finishing with the internal, so what else contribute to skin from internal, from inside of the body? Of course, nutrients, and as you said, everything needs to be in balance. So if we eat one things and we don't eat other, a lot of greens, why we say that you have to eat a rainbow diet.
Right, you can't just have one food every day and too much of it and think that your body's going to find homeostasis. It's really going to be out of balance.
Because we have trillions of bacteria and they all need different food.
They all need different.
So every food contribute and feed one type of bacteria or maybe few types of bacteria. The more variety of food that we have, the more bacteria we feed, and more bacteria in our gut, the more nutrients we have, the more vitamins, minerals, and all other good things that our body needs. If we are limited in our food, it means we're limited with our microbiome.
So is that the first step for someone with skin issues, is to clean up their gut and their diet to make sure they're getting the right rainbow diet in their life?
And also eating rainbow diet and specifically vegetables, fruits, a lot of fiber. It's considered a prebiotic. So prebiotic, it's a food for microorganism.
So you want prebiotic foods or foods that encourage prebiotics in order to get the gut health healthier.
Yeah. So anything that cooked, it has less fiber. So the more raw food you eat, the fresh, the organic, the everything that is good. So that's a good food for our bacteria. So it's a prebiotic. Prebiotic, it's a food for our bacteria.
Right. And that's different from a probiotic.
And probiotic, it's already bacteria artificially made and put it as insemination for our gut. So our gut has probiotic like lactobacillus, bifidobacillus, trillions of different bacteria and names, viruses, macrophages, and all kind of things. But we can inseminate our colon with artificially created or created in the lab from natural food probiotics, and we consume it.
So you always think a prebiotic, meaning prebiotic foods are good in order to interact with the probiotics. I thought one of the issues with probiotics is what strand, and there's so many different strands of probiotics. How do we know what an individual needs in their gut? 'Cause you could need different probiotics than I could need.
Yeah, so research of microbiome started with our genome project, and now microbiome project created from that because they found so many genes that does not belong to the humans, and that's when they started a microbiome project, and researchers continued. Every year there's new and new science coming out on microbiome, and soon we're gonna have very personalized.
So we can test your stool or your saliva and say, okay, you're going to need this one. And then probably you'll rotate things in and out. Because again, even if you start taking one probiotic a day and you take it every day, that's not the diversity that you want. At some point you need to switch it out.
So they call it monoculture. If you take one probiotic every day for continuously without changing to different strands of diversity, you become monoculture. If you don't feed other bacteria, they will die or leave your colon. So we have some permanent probiotics or permanent bacteria in our gut that always live. It's starting from your birth, even what your mother give inside.
You're getting your first bacteria and stuff from your mother.
From your mother, and also how you were born. So if you're born through vagina, it's one set of bacteria. If you're born C-section, you get mostly pathological bacteria because you don't get the normal bacteria, but you get staphylococcus, streptococcus from the environment that you were born.
Which is a really good point. If you were born a C-section baby and they didn't do the vaginal swabs, meaning take some of your mom's bacteria in the vagina area and put it on the baby, then your immune system and probably even your skin microbiome will not be as healthy. You will be missing some of that wonderful Mother Nature intended for you to have to make you a healthier human.
Yeah, because vagina is mostly lactobacillus. So when baby comes through the vagina, you get all this lactobacillus that's normally there. And that's what your first bacteria in your gut supposed to be.
I have to laugh because who would have thought that we're going to start about skin and we're going to end up talking about the vagina, but it's all connected. Yeah. And I think that the average person just wants you to tell them, okay, what's the cream and the face wash I should use and what's the makeup brand, when it's so much more complex because your skin is an overall snapshot of your entire health.
Since your birth.
Since your birth, yeah.
And you create it, make it better or worse for the rest of your life.
Right.
And what contribute to your skin when you're adult, that's what you started with your mother.
But you're an example of someone who can reverse some major skin issues. I'm there with you. I mean, I had breakouts on my back and it was constant. And for so many women, it's a self-esteem issue. It's am I worthy? Am I attractive? And you're using all these products to try to stop it or to try to hide it. It's so depressing. Like I would have bad days and not want to leave the house because I thought I didn't look good enough to leave the house. And so then you stop enjoying life and you're not having a good time.
So that's what your story about your skin. And what do you think was the reason for your problem? And how did you overcome that?
As a kid, I had a lot of immune issues. I remember I even had swollen lymph nodes when I was about in first grade. And they put me on some antibiotics and things to try to figure out why my lymph nodes were swollen. I ended up having my tonsils out at some point. So I had a tendency, even if I just got a little sick, a stomach bug, I would just get sick and sick and sick. Like I did not recover as quickly as my siblings. I'm sure some of it's emotional. I would love to look up what Louise Hay says about skin because I know that it's about what's the inside of you feeling like, what do you want the outside world to see? And so there's some of that. If you don't want to be seen, I think some skin issues can kind of erupt to try to prevent you from being truly seen in the world. I think of it now as maybe a liver issue that I've always dealt with that had a high load because it wasn't until I added in some prebiotics, probiotics, started doing chlorella and spirulina that all of a sudden, I'm finally getting my skin issues more in balance and in control. And I'm definitely not getting them in other body parts. The places where I put makeup on will still have some occasional issues, but man, what a journey. I actually even went at one point to a therapist who I tried hypnosis just because then it was like, well, am I creating my own problem? Is me picking on something that's coming up, creating that issue for me? And am I making it worse? And certainly it does. Like you going after a pimple or something that's coming up on your skin can make it last longer and not heal as quick. But why is it coming up in the first place? It shouldn't be coming up in the first place. But it certainly was like, okay, I've got to fix this. And so there was a control issue of like, okay, what can I do? I can't leave it alone because I got to take care of it right now. And if I left it alone for 24 hours, it'd probably go away. But no, I needed to take care of it right then. So then that was the emotional side for me, picking on myself. There's a whole, do you love yourself enough? I think that's a huge issue for women. How much love and caring do you give yourself? Or are you looking at yourself in the mirror and having a lot of self-loathing? As a woman in our Western society, it's a dangerous place to be, to just look at yourself in the mirror, right? What do you see? Do you see the whole picture of the beauty and the magic of who you are as this human creation? Or do you only see the flaw? I saw the flaws for a long, long time.
Speaking of mirror, and you mentioned Louise Hay and her mirror exercise. I love it. I always use with my women's group.
Okay, tell us the Louise Hay mirror exercise.
When I go to different women's seminars, some of them use mirror exercise, and I use mirror exercise with my women's group. So Louise Hay created that mirror work.
Okay.
And talking about self-esteem. So sometimes it's very hard, as you said, look in the mirror and see yourself how you want to see, or you see different person and compared to other people, how people sees you. So to overcome it, it's hard work. Some women cry looking yourself in the mirror, but give yourself love looking yourself in the mirror. That's how you can change it. Right. Last group I was running, it was a weight loss group. And I include mirror exercise in the weight loss, but the goal was looking yourself naked in the whole body mirror when you stay. And that is the goal to go there. Right. But some people can't even look in the face. So you start with a handhold,
just staring in your eyes. Right?
Yes, you make the smallest possible mirror when you just see your eyes and small part of your face. And you start with the small mirror and see, I love you. You're beautiful. So you tell yourself the good things that you need to hear. And you can grow to the bigger mirror, and you can grow to the mirror that you can see yourself in the clothes. And after that, you take clothes and see the beauty of the whole body.
Oh, this is why I love talking to you, Dr. L, because we just take it to the big picture. And that is, if you don't love yourself, how can you lose weight? Yeah. How can you improve your skin? How can you improve your relationships and your life? If the fundamental thing of you loathing yourself is what's going on, that's the first step, is look at yourself in the mirror and say, I love you. What can I do to make you happy today? But that's just such a great place to start. You have to start there if you want to make amazing changes in your life, if you want to find your harmonic alignment.
And if you cannot say I love you or looking for prolonged time in the mirror and without start crying, it means that you don't love yourself enough yet.
Yeah.
So that's an excellent exercise. And if you
can
do it, give affirmations to yourself, give love to yourself. Talking about energy, we both do bioenergetics. But recently I look in the skin, in pharmaceuticals, and what it represents barrier. Because the skin is a barrier.
Gotcha.
So boundaries and barrier.
The skin is that big barrier. And when we don't have the healthy
protective barrier from outside world.
Right.
So then also skin issue
and
can
what
be
better
affected.
way to protect yourself emotionally through all of it? If you love yourself unconditionally, then you can handle whatever life throws at you, and whoever wrongs you down the path, you know that it's not you. You love yourself, that's the other person's issue and they're working through it. You don't take everything as personal. Things are easier to get over and to grow from and to move on. And
you can have healthy boundaries if you love yourself enough, because so many women, they know that they don't have boundaries.
There's no boundaries at all. They're going to do they want to be loved, so they're going to be willing to do everything for everybody.
Sacrifice their
own kids,
health.
for their family, for partners. They're shortchanging themselves. So I look at it as, if you don't love yourself, it's a life half lived. And I know that is so hard. And I'm still there. I still have self-loathing days. I have not figured this out by any means, but I know that if I can get in those zones of gratitude, just maybe even starting with gratitude. If you can't love yourself unconditionally, just be grateful that, you're here, you're connected, and you can be in nature and find, some more gratitude, or baby steps until you can look at yourself in the mirror and say, I love you.
Or if you don't love whole body, just find a part that you love and you give gratitude. Like when I ask my daughter, when she look in the mirror, and I know she has some self-esteem issues, we all go through our life with that issues. I ask her what part of her body she like. My hair. Great. Start with that.
There you go.
Yeah.
Love the hair. Okay. Now love your eyes. Like little things that.
And we're still working on her skin because she's a teenager. So I'm trying all kind of different things. And of course, you need to start somewhere. And we're all in progress.
So give yourself some grace.
Yeah.
Okay, so after your 20s, you started on some probiotics, prebiotics, some antibiotics, just to try to get probably detoxing the mold out of your system was a big part of why your journey took longer than maybe someone else's would.
Yeah, and of course it was just the beginning when I started working on my gut when I was in medical school. So when I moved here, and there is other different things that contribute to your health, mostly environmental and the food and everything else, and I had my other health journeys additional to skin, so I accumulate all other different toxins and created more problem like infertility, and we talk about it in previous podcasts. I got probably worse with my health, and of course my liver was struggling until I detoxed my body.
So you had to do some actual detox work, which we've talked about in previous episodes, kind of the steps of detox.
So I get my liver clean, get my colon clean, I change my diet, and that time I learn about all toxins that are around that, what we put on our body, what we put inside of our body, and I start changing little by little a lot of different things. So now I have the least exposure in environment, what we can control. Also, I changed all my skincare routine, and I was trained as a skincare specialist. And of course, when you go through regular school and they don't teach you all organic and holistic different things, and when you go to esthetician shows, it's all skincare, professional skincare that you buy in the fancy stores. Yes, they do have some good ingredients in it, like serapeptides or vitamin C, but they have a lot of preservatives, they have a lot of perfumes that we know that is affect our skin and our health, and it's like estrogen disruptors and a lot of different things.
That's the key. You just said estrogen disruptors. I think more than anything, that is the thing you have to be aware of, whether you're using household cleaning products, anything you're putting on your body or washing your hair
or
with.
Even smell.
Even your smell. It affects, these xenoestrogens are really what make a lot of people start to be really sick, and then they messes up your hormones, which then if your hormones and your thyroid are messed up, then you can't lose weight. Everything is like this domino effect, and we don't realize what we're putting on our body is disrupting our digestion, right?
Because everything needs to go through the liver.
Right.
Anything that we breathe in, everything that we consume, even skin, we say the skin is a barrier, but it's still not 100% protect you from outside environment. So 60% everything that we put in our skin get absorbed through the skin.
So because 60% of what we're putting on our bodies, whether that's the lotion that you just picked up,
we take a shower in the chlorinated water.
The water is absorbing into our skin, and that's going into our liver.
And it absorbs through our lymph and also absorbs through our circulation system and goes to detoxify. If we absorb toxins, it needs to be detoxified through the liver, eliminated through the kidney and colon and lymph and skin again. So it's like absorbing bad stuff, and of course it needs to be detoxified some other ways. And so the less toxins we get exposed, the better. And skin, it has its own barrier. So talking a little bit about the whole body, because yes, we like to see clean face, like clean skin on our face, but the whole body has its own microbiome.
Right, which is why we shouldn't use antibacterial soaps, because it actually disturbs your microbiome.
So a lot of people know probiotics now and microbiome in the gut, but actually each organ in our body, each tissue has its own microbiome. And also our skin on the body has its own microbiome in different part of the body.
Oh, so the microbiome under my arms is different from behind the back of my legs.
On the face, on the scalp. So everything has its different bacteria. Some of it has less bacteria, some more, some of one type, some another. So everything has its own bacteria. And at this point, we cannot go and do testing. It's only on research basis. Different bacteria in different areas, and also bacteria create metabolites, and those metabolites create pH of the skin, so acidity, alkalinity of the skin.
Which is where, for a young person, like your skin's too oily or your skin's too dry, is because you're messing with that pH level.
You mess it with your microbiome that create certain pH. And on the skin, specifically on the face, it's acidic pH. So from 4.5 to 5, which is acidic compared to For example, our even mouth. We know that in our mouth it's supposed to be alkaline. So there is whole body has completely different
pH. Levels of pH. Yeah. So the skin is actually more acidic.
And that's what protects us for something that penetrates through the skin. And also pH shows on our skin like your skin is dry or your skin is moist, and because of the bacteria that create that pH, like bacteria consume or get exposed to something externally and create metabolites. So depends what kind of bacteria, they create different metabolites, and metabolites, that's the chemicals that can contribute to pH.
Okay, so then that really makes sense to what you're putting on your face, whether or not you're cleaning your makeup brushes or you're using the products, then can just really start to mess with your own actual pH.
A lot of people use soap to clean their face, and soap is usually alkaline. Why we need alkaline soap? To remove the grease, the oil.
I have a confession then, Dr. L, because I use soap to take my makeup off. So you're going to tell me I'm probably alkalining. Yes. Then my skin has to try to do something to counter that, which may be creating more of my problem with my skin issues.
Yeah. So you change pH. It means that now your skin barrier does not protect you from the external environment. So whatever bad things that accumulated or you get exposed, it can go through the pores inside. So because you don't have a good pH barrier. On the other hand, your skin try to overcompensate. Usually changing pH, you feel more dry. Alkalinity creates your dryness.
You know what? And I always thought I wanted drier because oily skin creates more acne, or so I thought. And even making my skin feel clean, I'm like wanting to be more dry than oily.
And most of teenagers do the same thing. They think if their skin is oily, they have to put alcohol just to remove, or something
which is
that
probably
is very
the worst thing they
astringent, could do. Right? Something is very astringent that remove oils. But the skin is trying to overcompensate
and
the
it'll
dryness,
just create more oil.
Create and produce more and more oil from the follicles.
Okay, so if I'm not allowed to use alcohol on my face and soap, what do you suggest? Like, what are the difference between taking off the makeup versus just washing your face?
So depends how much makeup you wear. If you use foundation, if you use a lot of makeup, you can even use oil to remove makeup.
Really?
It would be much healthier for the skin and for microbiome.
To take your makeup off with like coconut oil?
So there is a lot of good makeup remover or facial cleanser that is pH balance. Maybe like a milky or even oil-based makeup removers. It removes makeup and also does not change your pH. And keep your bacteria happy, because bacteria is much happy in an oily environment.
So then once you do that, then you just use water after that to try to get the...
If you have a lot of makeup, you just remove that and use facial cleanser. One company that I like, it's actually a research and very clean and organic product, and all their skincare, specifically for the face, it's probiotic based. So it has all microbiome that we need for our skin. So they use probiotics and they don't use any harsh ingredients, and they're all organic, and they don't use any perfumes. So it's all clean product. I like their cleanser. It's very light. It's not milky, but it does not change your pH. And it's a little bit soapy, but it's not over. So it does not have that floral, whatever chemical that usually make everything soapy.
Let's say you're at home and you don't have access to something like this. Is there anything that in nature that you could just...
In the kitchen.
In the kitchen there are...
So if there is, I think would be more beneficial to use olive oil to remove makeup than coconut oil.
Okay, so olive oil would be a better fit. But organic extra virgin, of course.
Whatever you put in a salad, it's safe to put on your face.
Right, because it's going to go in your bloodstream that way, and now there's nothing in it besides what you would already put in your body.
But actually the best oil for our skin, which is chemically very similar to oil that our skin produces, it's a jojoba oil, or in French, jojoba oil. So this is the same chemical structure as our skin oil.
Now,
and
where is that from? Is it from a berry?
It's a berry. It's jojoba or jojoba berry.
Jojoba berry, okay.
It looks kind of like olives, but it's not. It's the best oil for our skin and the best product based on that. And there's a lot of different oils that combine, and recently I found another company that is all oil based, and they combine different oils like buckhorn oil, sea buckhorn.
Oh, sea buckhorn.
It's very, very anti-inflammatory and antioxidant. And I love sea buckhorn berries. And in Russia, we grow a lot of it, and we make jam from it. It's the best. It's very antioxidant. And also depends on the skin type. You can even create your own personalized skincare based on your skin type.
So, okay, why do people have different skin types? Like, for if you're extra oily or extra dry, is that not somehow affected to what's happening internally, or are there just genetics that say?
So there is a lot of contribute to what skin we have. So genetics, of course.
Depending on your nationality, your skin tone,
so
color.
where we come from the south or from the north.
If we have more sun in our
our
lives,
climate,
okay.
climate affect our skin tone. Like we have a darker skin or lighter skin, and of course it depends where our ancestors, where our genes come from. So some skin is very protected from the sun, and some is very not protected from the sun. Or the lighter the skin, the more sun exposure we will have, and it's less protected from our sun. Also, how genetically again, how our collagen production in the skin. Also, some people produce less collagen, some people produce more collagen, and it's also collagen is very sensitive to environmental damage.
I have to stop you, because I think so many women started taking collagen because they think it's going to go directly into their face. And I think that's pretty clear, at least from my understanding, that that's not how it works. You'd be better off with bone broth and have your body create its own collagen using the building blocks to create collagen. Are you in agreement with that, or is it a more complex argument than I'm making it? If I take a capsule or a spoonful of collagen, is that going to really improve my skin?
There is so much research now about collagen, and still controversial what the best way to take collagen.
Right.
First of all, there is a collagen receptor. There is a collagen production. There is a collagen enzymes that convert one collagen to another collagen, like non-active collagen to active. There is so much things that we don't even know yet.
Okay, that's just, then it's too, we haven't figured it out. And so it may not make sense to just be ingesting collagen every day, and because we don't know the long terms of what that does.
So what I heard about the collagen that come from the bone broth, it's very complex structure. It's like a 3-4 dimensional structure. And for us, if we don't have enzymes that can easily digest it, and with age we lose our enzymes. So if you don't have proteolytic enzymes or lipase or
some
a lot
people
of
may not
things,
even be able to digest bone broth correctly.
So for some people it will be no use.
Gotcha.
The best way, if you want to do from the nutritional perspective, and it's collagen, it's not only for skin. We need collagen as a building block for a lot of different things in the body, for synovial fluid, for the ligaments, for anything, for muscles building, for extracellular membrane even, we need a collagen. It's everywhere in our body.
Right.
Of course, the 50% of collagen in our skin.
Right.
50% of collagen that our body makes and get from nutrition, it's in the skin.
Right.
50% is distributed everywhere else in the body. So we need different type of collagen. There's at least 4 or 5 different types. So
oh my God.
there is a lot of science.
That's a whole
in that.
episode.
And
We're going to do a whole episode on collagen.
And I'm not specialized in the collagen, but I learned from the reading and looking into research.
So some people might benefit from taking bone broth and collagen.
But the
some
best
people may
way
not.
is to, if you want it from nutritional, get already collagen that is processed. It goes through the fermentation or at least enzymatic function. So hydrolyzed collagen. So it's mean already processed collagen. So when you buy nutritional collagen, you need to know what form it is, that collagen. So if it's already went through process of fermentation or at least digestion. So when we consume bone broth, we have to go through digestion. If digestion doesn't work properly, again, we don't assimilate, we don't digest, we don't process because of the enzyme. So the companies who create specific collagen that is accessible for our cells, membrane, whatever we need to use our collagen, they already pre-digested for you. So that's only collagen the most beneficial, and that's what our body can take as a building block for the skin.
Okay.
or for even interstellar membrane.
And in that case, when I feel like it may work or it may not work for me, that's when I'm kind of like, okay, maybe that's not something I need to invest time and energy in yet until I have more information. And maybe that's a whole longer conversation about why genetic testing, understanding your DNA building blocks, understanding what enzymes and what proteins may work best for your body and ones that'll work best for my body, and how individualized we need to be as far as supplementing so that we're not wasting our time and money and resources taking supplements that aren't actually going to benefit us.
Also, collagen is produced in fibroblast. With age, we produce less and less and less, as I say. And same with hyaluronic acid. Hyaluronic acid is another. People like taking hyaluronic acid, they put on their face, but our bodies produce hyaluronic acid.
Right.
And what's good about hyaluronic acid, it's attract water. And that's what give you plumpiness. And hyaluronic acid in a between spaces, so it creates spaces. So when there is not enough hyaluronic acid molecule, it take the water from food or from the source,
right,
and bring it in a matrix of between muscles and between different soft tissues. So that's where the hyaluronic acid and water
are beneficial.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if we don't have enough hyaluronic acid with age, we get less and less and less. We produce less, or we destroy more. So we don't have enough water attracted that.
Because that's why our skin's getting dry and wrinkly.
And wrinkle. So, of course, if you're dehydrated, even though you're a young person, you can create wrinkles, so feel dehydrated because you don't drink enough.
Yeah, if you're dehydrated, and besides the fact that it creates wrinkles, 3% dehydration, I believe, is 30% cognitive decline. So if you think your memory is not as what it should be, then you may actually just, the first step may be hydration, proper hydration. But let's go back to why you are now in your 50s and you have no wrinkles. And I know you've not done Botox or any of these procedures that women have done, that some of them are barbaric. We know that you're taking your makeup off with something that keeps your pH in balance, oil in some way so that it's not drying your skin out. So we'll go with coconut oil in a pinch, but olive oil is better, and the jojoba oil is even better if we can get our hands on that to take our makeup off. And then after we've got that off, is there a cleanser or just some warm water? Is the temperature of water make a difference when you're washing your face? Not too hot, not too cold?
First of all, I don't use makeup anymore. The most makeup I put my eye makeup. That's all.
I'm sorry, you don't use makeup anymore. Your skin just looks so
the foundation I stopped using maybe 10 years ago. In my 20s, when I had a lot of acne and I had the acne scars, of course, I had like primer and I had a foundation. With like in 5 years, when I start cleaning my body, I start having less and less. I switched to tinted moisturizer, which has less coverage but give you a little bit more tone. And then 5 years later, after that, I stopped using altogether. I just use moisturizer.
Well, it's because your skin is flawless. You don't have like little red rosaceas or little broken capillaries. Like your skin doesn't need to hide anything.
And I had, like, during my last pregnancy, I think even my first pregnancy, I had a melasma. They call like pigmentation on your cheeks, usually. So again, that is a sign of inflammation. So it's like a post-inflammatory response to the skin. So dark spots on the skin, we call it aging spots. Any pigmentation on the skin, it's inflammation. Sometimes it's red, but sometimes it's dark spots. So because it's a melatonin on the skin. So I had that.
And you were able to reverse that.
I was able to reverse that.
I think that's not reversible.
It is reversible. So the less inflammation you have in your body, the less it shows up on the skin. So when I started detoxification like 15 years ago, everything started getting better and better. Not only with general health, but of course your health shows up on superficial as well. And I get better and better. Every time I discover something new, I want to try. Of course, if you stay on one skincare for the rest of your life, it's not beneficial.
Well, that makes me feel better since I have rotated skincare products, I don't know, hundreds of times. And then I feel guilty. I'm like, was that the one, or should I go back to that, So we should let go of guilt that when we're done with the skincare product, we're done with the skincare product. It's okay.
And sometimes it's even seasonal. Of course, in the winter, our skin is more prone to be dry, so you can have a heavier product than in the summer. In the summer, we have a lot of sun, vitamin D, we produce more oil, we sweat. So in the summer, you might need lighter product. like more moisturizing than a heavy cream. And that's what I use. And like, I feel like my skin is getting more oily in the summer because it's not much dehydration, like from all these air conditioners or heaters and all that. Skin changes through the season and you need a different product.
Well, it sounds to me like the moral of the story is detox your body, clean up your lifestyle, clean up the rainbow diet, make sure you're actually getting the nutritional needs that your body needs. It starts there, and then it's like, let's not put any more toxins back on the skin. Let's say I need to put, my legs are dry, my feet are dry. What are my natural options? Because this is going to absorb, everything you put on your feet is going to absorb into your bloodstream and ultimately into your liver.
So another tip that I give to my clients when I work with their skin, you need to do exfoliation, specifically if you're getting older and older, because our skin becomes sluggish, and what's accumulated on the top layer of the skin, it's dead cells.
When you say exfoliation, dry brushing?
It's more for lymphatic stimulation, which is good as well. You improve your lymphatic system. But for the face and same for the body, you have a body scrubs, you have a facial scrub, but facial scrub need to be very careful because it need to be very light. So body and facial scrubs.
Makes me think of as a child, I had that apricot scrub. You know exactly what I'm talking about. It feels like sand rubbing in there. Was that good or bad? It was probably not every day, but...
Well, it was good for your feet, but not for the face.
Okay. So go ahead and use the rougher things on your feet. Like even you could make scrubs, I assume. You can make your own.
If you want to make your own, I would recommend not sugar scrub and salt scrub for the body because it's rough grains, but oatmeal, you can ground your oatmeal and use it as a facial scrub.
Really? Like, are we talking like the steel cut oats?
Yeah, steel cut oats. You put in a grinder, like a coffee grinder, and you can mix with oil, and you can use it as a exfoliant, like a scrub. If you want to make your own, put some essential oils if you want for the smell, but that's a basic thing that you can do. And when I use exfoliant, that is what is based on, like all very light exfoliation. And when I do facials, I use very light exfoliation. But another exfoliator that I use, it's more professional, like enzyme exfoliation, which has bromelain, papain from fruits enzymes.
Okay, I've heard that fruit enzymes are good for you.
Why? Because they remove those bonding between cells, and cells can shed from the top layer, like all those dead cells, and they open pores, and pores can extract or like remove naturally from whatever trapped inside.
So that's exciting, because that means, well, first off, if I'm not putting makeup on, I'm not clogging my pores anymore, which is why I think like we wear makeup, but then our pores get more and more clogged.
Depends of the makeup. There is a good makeup that doesn't clog your pore. It's all depends of the stuff that in a makeup. Because if makeup, even oil, different oils, some of them comedogenic, it's mean clog pores, and some of them non-comedogenic. So that's not clogging pores. So it's a lot of science.
It's a minefield. And then I find when you look for one that doesn't cause your skin to break out, the one that makes you look more natural, or like you're not wearing makeup. But then you never know, like, what are the words I'm looking for and the chemicals. And I'm sure that my Chanel is not something that probably should be putting on my face every day. But I've also never found, I always think when I go to the natural makeups, they don't give me the coverage I'm looking for. But maybe because I'm not as healthy as I should be, my skin underneath isn't where it should be in order to start with. And I'm sure there's a chicken and egg, and I have to play this out. I have to play the long game. You have to stick with something and figure it out. It isn't a short-term solution when it comes to skin, right?
So if something shows up on the skin, listen to your body or look at your body. It's one of the symptoms that something is going on under hood. And also your faces represent different organs of your body. If there is something... It's based on Chinese medicine principle, like where on the face you have a breakout. Is it on your cheeks, on your chin, on your forehead? So it's like a map of your body.
Of connecting with like the liver, the gallbladder.
Or your hormones, or your kidney. Whatever is eliminated organ, it shows up.
So if you're having a breakout on your back, it could be a different system that you need to address.
And very common, even menopausal women, hormonal changes, it shows up on the chin.
Really?
All this area,
Okay.
it's all hormonal. I know this is the kidney.
Okay, so when you're pointing to your chin, this is the hormonal, and then below your eyes is more.
It's like on your cheeks. It's
more
it's
kidney.
a kidney.
It's what I will call the check engine warning light. Like, what did I eat? What's going on with my body? Am I hydrating? Did I have too much alcohol? If I had been having too much sugar and carbs, and can I lessen that in order to help my body start to naturally find more balance?
Speaking of alcohol, I recently met a lot of women like my age. It's like, what do you do with your skin? What do you do with your skin? We want to know. Like,
Yeah, every woman wants to know, what are you doing, Dr. L?
And when I start talking to them, they drink a lot of alcohol. I drink wine, but it's not more than like half glass with my dinner.
Gotcha.
But if you drink a bottle of wine for your dinner, it's probably your liver cannot tolerate
Your
that.
liver can't hang
And
out. And
first
then
of
it's
all,
going to age you. Alcohol
that's
ages
what
you.
it is.
Dehydrates
Yeah,
you.
dehydrate.
It eliminates your glutathione and your
And
collagen.
it's
It's all part
detoxification.
of
Yeah. So it's a lot of things that we need to know that contribute to that. Drinking alcohol.
But hold on. I think women are drinking a bottle of alcohol because there's a whole host of emotional and physical things.
That's
that
another reason
doesn't
why people
feel
drink
good.
that.
They don't feel good and they want some relief. And the glass of alcohol and the second and third glass helps them just relax because they're living these high stress lives. And so they would feel so much better if they got their health under control. And they may not even realize how good they could feel if they started to change and eliminate some of these toxic things out of their life, which starts with stress, which is the rainbow diet, which is detoxing what we taught, the toxins, the heavy metals, the molds. But it's very
emotional
individualized.
detox as well.
Yes, emotions, number one. It really does. There was a wonderful podcast I keep playing. It was a Dave Asprey podcast with this woman named Florence who wrote a book on the science of heartbreak. And I tell you what, if you go through a divorce, it takes sometimes up to 4 years to get your nervous system and your actual biomarkers back to pre-divorce. So going through an emotional trauma like a divorce and or any kind of tragedy in your life affects you at a cellular level. I mean, you weren't hit by a truck. You were literally heartbroken from an emotional turmoil relationship.
I think I'm just about that stage. I'm 5 years.
You're 5 years out. So now you're like the picture of health, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the woman who wrote the book, Florence, she actually got an autoimmune disease through her divorce. It took her a while, but she was able to reverse it.
Yeah.
Because you're not sleeping, you're in high stress mode. And that's why people are turning to wine because, again, they're not getting the sleep they need. They're not getting the emotional support or having tools on how to deal with their emotions in a healthy way.
I can tell you why I drink wine. And how
you
much
drink organic wine and you make sure there's not chemicals in it too,
it's
right?
first of all, so if I
yeah.
choose to drink wine, I have to find the best wine as possible.
Yeah,
that
don't
is
waste
like
those
less-
calories. you
Right.
know?
So I want to make sure that my liver is still okay with the amount of wine I drink
Right.
and the type of wine I drink. But because it's fermented foods.
Right.
It's
so wine's a
contribute-
live food, so it actually could help with your digestion.
Right. And that's the one reason I drink, because it helped me to digest my food, because it's still considered fermented
food. I like
so
how this is.
I drink wine only with my food. I don't drink wine before or after.
Okay.
Because it helps you with digestion if you decide to drink wine or if you want to find the benefits of drinking wine. And I don't drink more than a glass of wine.
We have to put in the show notes as well. I know, is it Scout?
Scott and Cellar.
There are places you can find wine
Yeah.
where they have organic or biodynamic farming practices, so there isn't such a heavy toxic burden on your liver. Right?
Because they test their wine, and also very low on sugar and no pesticides, no glyphosates. And
So
all
then,
that.
right, then it is a real live fermented
Mm-hmm.
food that is going to help. And I would say it's probably even better to be drinking wine with your meal than it is water, because water actually dilutes the digestion.
And dilute enzymes that you need for digestion, and wine is contribute to that because it's fermented.
Right.
And also resveratrol. It's a natural way to get resveratrol instead of taking a capsule.
I love it. Right.
And after one glass, I don't even taste wine anymore. And I love the taste of wine and how you combine it with different food. It's like whole art of combining
Right.
food and, mixing all together. So I enjoy it. But some people drink wine, they don't even enjoy it. They just
Right.
want to buzz.
Okay, so we've covered it all. I mean, it's never just one thing when we start to talk about
It's
skin.
called holistic
It's called
approach
holistic
to
So,
life.
I know I want to get two more things in, and I want to see what you have to finish up this conversation. And one of it is I have a higher dose red light mask that I use for my skin. Would that help with acne as well? What is it red light doing for me at that skin level?
So light therapy is very beneficial to deal with a lot of skin issues. I used to work in the spa and we use different lights. I could choose the light based on the skin type. So I know
nice.
for acneic skin is much better blue light.
Okay.
Because it's more different lengths
Okay.
of light, like penetration, and also a different effect. Waves of the light affect differently on different skin layers, and also the benefits of different lights. And the red light is more for anti-aging, so it's affect the collagen production. So that's why red light is more for mature skin, or more like prevention of wrinkles and dryness. And also red light is good for mood. Red light is always like calming.
It helps
So,
out, it creates more melatonin.
Yeah.
It helps you fall asleep. It's great to fall asleep with my red light mask. The other thing is my sister-in-law turned me on to DMSO. So if I use anything now, a product on my skin, there's a DMSO, they call it the Miracle face cream. I do feel like if I have something coming up the next day, it's taken care of. My skin doesn't look as dry. What are some of the other protocols and products and things that you recommend?
If you had a party, last night, and you wake up in the morning
And you're puffy and
puffy.
you're like, oh no, look at this today. Here I go.
So why skin get puffy, specifically a face? Because your lymph stagnated. So if you were dehydrated, your lymph become thick and cannot, flow properly. So drinking a lot. When you drink night before, make sure you have enough hydration. Secondly, in the morning, drink even more to eliminate everything that accumulated.
If you're drinking a lot the night before, can you take chlorella or charcoal?
Yeah.
And or add in a tablet, take some hydrogen water with
That
those
would
would
be
all
perfect.
help? Okay.
If you have all that, if you know that, and I take charcoal or some combination with charcoal as detoxify if I have a party and I get home and I take that, so it works overnight, detoxify my body.
Also glutathione. If you have the liposomal or the glutathione spray, that would help recover quicker from any kind of alcoholic toxic exposure.
Yeah, glutathione is very good. Also, I have a handheld tool to stimulate lymph, and we're gonna have a whole podcast about lymph, so we can show how to use it. So it's like it's a stimulate lymphatics and remove all this puffiness, and I use for some facials and skincare routine as well, and recommend to others.
Really important that your lymph is flowing so the face isn't puffy if you're having those issues. Okay, that's great to
And
know.
if people don't have it, even taking ice cube and use that ice cube all over the face in the morning, you increase circulation, because when skin get cold, you constrict your blood vessels, but after you remove that coldness, your skin gonna start flowing. So it's very good for circulation.
So you can just use an ice cube or do an ice face bath a little bit.
You can make even ice cube with different herbs.
Oh, nice.
I just take ice cube, go around and use that water to wash my face.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah,
Okay.
so that's a
It
simple
also probably
tip.
wakes you up a little bit in the morning, which is nice.
And it's all like invigorate your skin.
Right.
And,
And I heard before, instead of doing a cold plunge in the morning or cold shower, if you just get your face in an ice bath, that actually would work the whole body. And it would have a whole body benefits. And because the face has so many nerves and endings.
Talking about cold water, we have a whole podcast about that, because it's increase your mitochondria. And what mitochondria, it's your life. It's energy and everything. Same for the face.
I love
for
it.
the whole body.
Okay, so then what's next? We do the lymph, we got the ice in the morning. What do you put on after?
I clean my face with face wash, which is pH balance. After that, I use a toner.
Okay.
And why we need a toner? A lot of people try to skip it. Even my kids, it's like extra step back.
I do too. I'm like, I'm not sold on toner. I'm like, no, they're just selling me another product. So toner is a thing.
It's very important. Why? Because sometimes we use harsh cleanser, right? So toner is specifically pH balance.
Okay.
I use one with vitamin C, so it gives you another extra, acid for your face. So it's bring your pH to normal level, which is acidic, and it's hydrate your skin, extra hydration, and continue cleaning your skin. So there is 3 different benefits in one product. That's why toner is very important. After cleaning, even if you use water is neutral. It doesn't give you enough acid if you just use water for washing in the morning. I don't use soap in the morning, and I don't use face wash in the morning if I clean my face enough at night. So I just use water in the morning, and I of course I put toner. After toner, you put, if you need a serum, if you need extra something before moisturizer, so serum is the best way. It's kind of extra things that your skin need, and that is very personalized.
Should we think of serums as like vitamins for the skin?
Nutrition for the skin, because it can be different things. Some people need ceramide, some people need acne serum, which is targeted for the specific things, anti-aging. So there is a lot of, I like vitamin C and ceramides and vitamin A, you can add it. So there is a specifically targeted serum you put before the moisturizer, and moisturizer depends on the season. As we discussed already, in the winter you need much heavier moisturizer, and in the summer lighter moisturizer, and of course eye cream. That's all routine that I use.
The skin around the eyes is more delicate, so you need more hydration.
More so there is specific eye cream that it's important.
Well, I need to sign up for this routine so I can start aging backwards too. So is there anything else? I mean, we've covered a lot. It's a big topic. I don't think we realize that skin is connected to our emotions, and how we feel about ourselves is connected to our food and our environment. Genes, your genetics profile, like. Man, did we cover a lot on this.
And we talk about GI, but actually skin and GI, it's all continuation of one tube, because there is no closing between your mouth and your anus. And it's all connected to the skin, because whatever happening inside is going to show up on the skin, because it's all epidermis, and the layer of the skin is the same as the layer of the internal gut.
Well, you know, and I think the most important, valuable thing that we want to hit home today, and that is, if you're having a skin issue, pretty much most of it can be reversible. It can be improved, it can be fixed. Is it a simple solution? It just depends on what issue you're dealing with, and that you have to realize that your solution that you see on TV, it needs to be more individualized and tailored to you. And I was telling you, I had a esthetician that I'd gone to, and she was doing great work. And she said, you know, I just can't help my really problem patients. And she actually left esthetician to go do more nutritional background, because she understood it is not what you put on your face, it's also what you're putting in your body. And I think what we just said, the genetics, the emotional, the toxins that are in your environment, whether it be the mold, we're going to have a whole podcast on mold, all the different consequences that how you can figure out if you have a mold issue, because I think that's important.
And talking about education of our clients and patients, every time I work on somebody's skin, I always educate them, and they always, when they leave in a session, say it was the most educational experience.
Because they didn't realize that they were, you know, coming in to look at an eye wrinkle or like a blemish is going to lead down this whole roadmap.
And it's like a whole nutritional session. And I remember one client it was a teenage girl who had a lot of acne, and she came to me, she said, and she'd been a dermatologist, and of course they prescribe like what? Is they start with antibiotics, and they do hormones,
the drugs that affect the liver,
and retinol, everything. And she said, why my dermatologist never told me about changing my food? I said, because they don't know, and they don't even want you to do it.
Right.
So don't go to dermatologist if you want to change your skin.
No.
You need to go to check if you don't have cancer or whatever. Even cancer can be reversible. That's what I believe. Because why is it showing up on
your skin? Let's just real quickly touch on the sunscreen issue, because I actually think sunscreen is creating more people's health problems than they realize.
So everybody know about SPF, and what's SPF is like how much your cream can protect your skin from sun exposure. It's from 15 minimum to 100% coverage. The number represents how many minutes your skin will be protected by that specific lotion. Right. And how they test it, they put on your arm and put under the equipment that create like a sun rays, and see how much, when it's gonna start burn. So 15, it means 15 minutes you can be with that specific SPF cream under the sun, and you need to reapply. But
Gotcha.
actually, it doesn't give you more coverage. It just extend your exposure.
Right.
Okay, so if you have a SPF 70, it means like you can go 70 minutes with that specific cream without reapplication.
I'm not sure I actually realized that. I knew 50 was stronger than 15, but I didn't realize that.
But
there's
what that mean, that to go that extended period of time, they have to put more chemicals that can protect your skin from that exposure. It doesn't mean it's better. Actually, it's worse because they put more different things that can affect your skin, so it can penetrate through skin. So I would go 30 is the max for me.
You would never use.
If
more
I
than
go
30.
to Mexico, if I go somewhere close to equator where you have more sun, I would use 30 and reapply it.
Okay.
But also depends what kind of product.
Right.
The healthier the better. Zinc oxide probably the healthiest options out there because that's most natural sun protector. But I think if you have a good oil will protect you from the sun exposure.
Well, see, I actually used to use coconut oil a little bit on some of that, and I thought, oh, it seems to work. Actually,
it's like a barrier again. It creates a barrier, and that's what can protect you.
What's more important is that you kind of just manage it, even with clothing.
Yeah.
I feel like
Barrier is
if
the
I'm
best
in the
way.
garden, I'm going to wear my long sleeve sun shirt. I'm going to wear a hat if I feel like I'm getting too much. But we do want sun exposure. So it would
for sure.
almost
Vitamin
be
D.
better. At a minimum, I've been told 30 minutes in the sun at high noon with as little skin coverage as possible is a great healthy day. And that's from Dr. McCullough.
Yeah, that's what I do as well. Yeah. I rather don't put any sunscreen and go for short period of time in the sun. Or, for example, if I'm on vacation, we usually go to Mexico. And actually, sun in Mexico is much better than sun in here. Not the sun itself, but how sun rays affect your body.
Oh, really?
And I realized it going there for a few years now and see sun here. I got much worse sun exposure or experience with sun exposure here than there.
In Mexico.
And I think it's whatever is in the air, in all those chemtrails and whatever they spray in the environment, because it's a metal, it's reflect from the sun. I never get sunburn in Mexico, and I get sunburn here much faster.
Interesting. They're just even where you're at, located on the equator, where country you're in, like can affect quality of the light and the sun exposure. That makes a lot of sense. Well, that's fantastic. And
We had a lot of coverage today.
yeah, we did. Okay.
It was our most favorite subject.
Yeah, it was our most favorite subject. Well, thank you so much. Until next time.
And I hope people got something they can use in their life.
If you want to know more, you can reach out to Dr. L about her skin protocols. Even reach out to her about where to get your wine from.
Thank you,
Awesome.
Priscilla. It was amazing.
Thank you.
Today's episode is brought to you by Pure Haven. Pure Haven's mission is to educate you about the hidden health risks in everyday products and offer 100% safe, effective, and non-toxic alternatives. From skincare to household cleaning essentials, everything they create is free of harmful chemicals and full of natural goodness. What's even better? You can feel great knowing that every purchase supports a company committed to transparency and healthier living for families everywhere. So why settle for anything less than pure? Visit purehaven.com/holistic expert today to discover products you can truly trust and receive 15% off your first purchase. Join the Pure Haven movement because healthy home starts with healthy choices. Are you ready for your Energy for Life bioenergetic nest scan? Dr. Larisa Sharapova and myself, Priscilla Koblenz, offer personal, private, 90-minute consults to get you back to optimal health and well-being. And starting in the new year, we're offering an Energy Mastery Program, a monthly membership which will give you access to a monthly scan as well as 2 group masterclasses to help you optimize your wellness in the new year. For more details, visit the show notes or check out harmonicalignment.co. We hope you enjoyed today's episode of Harmonic Alignment. If something resonated with you, we would love to hear about it. Please consider leaving us a 5-star review and subscribing so you don't miss an upcoming episode. Thank you. The information contained in this podcast is provided for informational purposes only and not intended for the purpose of diagnosing, treating, curing, or preventing any disease. Before using any products referenced on the podcast, consult with your healthcare provider. Carefully read all labels and directions. The products and information received through the podcast should not be used to replace a consultation or advice from your healthcare provider. If you suspect you have a medical problem or have any healthcare questions, please promptly call your healthcare provider. This podcast, including Dr. Larisa Sharapova and Priscilla Koblenz, and the producers are not responsible for any possible adverse effects from the use of information contained in this podcast. This podcast may contain endorsements and advertisements for products or services. Individuals on this podcast may have a direct financial benefit to the product or services referenced.